VIVINT keeps poking the bear, and they just cannot seem to help themselves. So look, I was really going to try my best to stay away from these videos. We've got so many things to talk about as far as services, new services, things that are enhancements with our security systems, which are, solar, connected car, all the things that people are looking for, especially if you're a prepper. Like, there's no security system out there that offers more things than we do. Even if you have a prepping location out in the middle of the mountains in Colorado, we've got solutions for that. I'm going to talk about those, but this is the last video for a long time that I'm going to do about VIVINT. They keep getting on me, by the way, VIVINT. I've had something like 100 comments from VIVINT employees on this last video that I did, and it was a fairly calm video. For you all that don't know, we do background checks for the state of Tennessee. Thousands and thousands and thousands of background checks through our security company. It's one of the government contracts that we have. So we have a lot of VIVINT employees coming in here, getting their background checks to offer and sell security in the state of Tennessee. And so what keeps happening over and over again is these young sales guys, and listen, I can understand being young and being, what am I looking for? The word am I looking for? Just say young and foolish, braggadocious. I'm looking for the word braggadocious. When they come into our location of business and they don't realize that we're a security company. We're really not a competitor because they do one thing. I don't really know how well they do it. If you'll look at this video and then the last video, I'll try to put a link in the last video. If you look at the two videos and you see how many comments are made by other customers that are just, and former employees that are just, honestly, they're just pissed about VIVINT, you will begin to understand why I think the last video and probably this one will be so popular. But here's the bigger issue. It goes to the core of the matter, the heart of the matter, and why I think their employees are really they don't even understand what they're saying. I'm going to read two comments off of the last video on the VIVINT that I posted. I don't even know how to sound it's VIVINT or VIVINT, and I don't care. So, but anyway, I can't help myself. So I'm going to read a comment by a former employee of let's call him the company. So here it was. And it's rather long. This guy couldn't help himself, and I appreciate him responding, actually. He says, I was a technician for VIVINT for about 5 years. You're right. It's actually ridiculous how much they pay their sales teams. The sales manager from our office probably made around $500,000 a year. That comes from his sales, his team sales, upgrades on equipment, and so on. Yeah, he's a great salesman, but I was assigned to most of his sales because he, like me, I did good work, but only made around $40,000 a year. I was also paid by commissions on call day and nights. We'd be in the houses finishing installs sometimes past 12 a.m. because they sold the job at 8:30 p.m. Then get pay raises each year. Well, so they sold it late. Then it says they get pay raises each year while we get pay cuts and more responsibility. I'm glad I left and I'm moving on to something better. So that's typical. I can understand paying salespeople. You want to keep them around. But you got to understand, any organization, how people are treated, how customers are treated, how service is handled, all comes from the top. So this comes from the top of VIVINT. And it's the culture. Let's just call it a culture. But I want to read what happened today. And this I think it's a girl because she has her emoji or whatever you call it. Hers is it's a girl's picture, and she responds. She actually had two responses. I'm not going to read, but the last one. She calls herself Tara Smalls, and she said, here it is. This is important, and it goes to the heart of the matter of the company. And I want you to understand, I have no problem with people making money. I have no problem with you financing something if you absolutely need to finance it. I'm not a huge Dave Ramsey fan as far as about 5% of his stuff goes, which really does not apply to everybody. 95% of his stuff, the average American who's financed too many things and wants to get out of debt, is great. But I do have a problem with anything that is in a long-term contract because the price is so exorbitant. And just so you know, the app that we use, the software and hardware that we sell, has about I think about 10 times as many customers using it as VIVINT does. I think they're about a $2 billion company. Ours is a combination of one firmware, let's call it firmware software by Alarm.com, and Alarm.com works on 4 different major platforms. It's phenomenal. There's over 12 million users right now. And if you've chosen a long-term contract, find a company locally that, if it's not us, I mean, we do business in about 36 states. Find a company that's not us. We don't depend on just security systems. We do everything from personal defense. I mean, if you're against guns, God bless you, but if you're against guns, we do pepper gel, pepper spray. We actually have, oh my God, I'm sitting behind me. We have some pepper pistols. Not everything needs to be lethal. I do recommend lethal, but we do things so far outside the scope of just a home security or business security system that I think VIVINT is, I can't help myself, VIVINT. We do so many things far outside of that realm that I'm not dependent upon you getting a security system from us. If you live in Butte, Montana, and you have cerebral palsy, or you're older, or you have physical limitations, by all means, hire a local company to come put it in for you. Most local companies will let you pay for the equipment up front and then pay monthly. Reputable companies will anyway. They will not try to get you stuck in a 3 to 5 year contract. That's why I no longer find ADT reputable, because they really push for the long-term contract. Now, ADT will, if you push them, let you buy the equipment and then just, over time, cancel if you want to cancel. But here's the response. I know I'm on too long. I'm all fired up about this. So this girl responded. She says, Tara Smalls, Smalls, on YouTube says, the contract thing is an industry norm. Complaints came from shady sales practices that are in no way exclusive to VIVINT door-to-door on general, I think she says means products, but produces that produces the outcome. I'm sorry, it is. That produces the outcome. You are not required to get a contract when a company agrees to let you pay for a product through a lender. The lender wants to guarantee they get their money. When a company creates 100,000 new accounts a year, not everything is always going to go perfectly. She says, I agree with the fact that there should be more oversight in regards to sales practices. But again, if I can work 1099 and pay 10% in taxes versus going W-4 as a commission employee, I'm going to go with the former. You can read the reports. Now, this is important. You can read the reports about VIVINT aggressive move changes on the sales side. They fired a quarter of the door-to-door salespeople for the sole purpose of addressing customer issues. Let's just stop right there. So they fired 25% of their sales team for aggressive practices. So I don't know how many salespeople that they had, but this girl is going to the core of the matter and not even realizing that the problem has been from the top down. VIVINT is the problem. So I do appreciate her candor and her response. However, as a journeyman electrician with low voltage specialty, I am just as critical part of the sales team. Taking anecdotal evidence from a sales rep is flawed, and 90% of sales reps within the company make less than $30,000 a year. I can also promise you techs absolutely encourage firearm ownerships. As I tell people, it lets the customers know where to point the gun. You can copy and pause and paste the exact same complaints on a video about ADT, and especially Brinks. Their customers are sometimes waiting 3 months, 2 and 10 missed appointments to get help. I understand where you're coming from, but as you've already said, you are in a different form of security, having been in the industry myself for 14 years. I've seen the ins and the outs of most companies. One more thing, accountability is important. And if I can make $100,000 installing cameras for this company, I very much want to take criticism and grow as a company. So I really appreciate her candor, to be honest with you. Here's the bigger issue. And this is what a lot of people need to realize. It's Americans' way of thought with regards to financing. Hey, I can afford $59 a month. And actually, if you get video, the average pricing for most of these companies is more. ADT, now my understanding is they now have 3 to 5 year contracts. Most with video, they're asking for 5 year contracts. We have run into a number of contracts that are $100 a month. do the math. That is $1,200 a year. Oftentimes they'll do zero down. They say zero down, 2 months free with approved credit, $100 a month, and they've made their money back in 12 months. If you as a customer default on that contract, they've pretty much covered their nut back, depending on what you've got in, at about $1,200. I know for a really, I tell you, we're doing a huge system today in a very nice house. The system is $3,900. Now, they have a lot of peripherals, everything from glass break to some automation to cameras, video, long-term storage, all this stuff. Like all that stuff is part of their system, okay? That's an exorbitant security system for most houses. But if you can find somebody locally that will just sell you the equipment and then do your monitoring for you, you help them be a better supplier, a better vendor, a better service provider. If they are held to the fire by saying, oh, well, we need to come take care of your stuff, we're going to lose that $39 a month. Our average stuff's about $30 a month, but we're going to lose that $30 to $40, $50 a month if we don't service this customer and take care of them. So it's kind of a two-way street. Like there's probably 50 of these comments on our last post regarding VIVINT. A lot of them from VIVINT. They said they were some from VIVINT customers complaining, but quite a few of them were from VIVINT employees. And I didn't post most of them because I got F-bombs, I got, all types of expletives. I work for VIVINT, screw you, basically what they're saying. And I just delete those because they're, they don't matter. But it goes to the heart of the company. It goes from the top down when people will do things like that. Find somebody local if you need help installing it. If you don't need help installing it, for God's sakes, whatever you do, don't buy something like SimpliSafe. Get something that has double military grade encryption. Get something that has S-line type sensors where the sensors literally are switching and encrypted, so where some kid can't sit out in your driveway, they can't sniff the RF signal going from the in-use devices back to the main panel. There's a lot of things that you need to consider. Do not buy something cheap. I've literally sat at the counter in Sam's and Best Buy and watched people make decisions about security systems going, man, I want to step in so badly, but I want to hear what salespeople say to them as well. That's usually at Best Buy. So whatever you're doing, I'll say it one more time. I'm sorry, I'm like rambling. Please choose somebody that will service you. Do not get into a contract. You can install this yourself, especially if the company will pre-program it and ship it to you pre-programmed. It is that easy. We do that every day. We've got almost 4,000 customers now. Please like and subscribe. I promise you this is the last VIVINT video you will see for a long time. I really need to go back to some of the things that we're rolling out along with the solar and the things that are good for preppers so you can stash your stuff and find out if somebody gets into it. The world's changing. It's no longer about mom and dad's security system when they're not there and just needing the police to show up if somebody's robbing your house. It's a lot more than that. It's like what direction to shoot, how do you take care of yourself, how do you take care of your kids, have a plan when somebody breaks into your house so your kids know where to go, what bed to go, what closet to go into, and don't shoot low. Thank you for coming to this channel. Please like and subscribe.